Charlie Hurt joins us this morning. Great to see you, Charlie. Do you think he should run? He probably is going to, but should he? Yeah.
Yeah, well, these politicians are all the same. It doesn't really matter what we think or what we want. They think they should run because it's a funny thing about being in the White House. They really like it, and they all think they belong in the White House. So, and this is a guy who's been in Washington for, what, 50 years? So nobody believes more fervently that he belongs in the White House than a dude that's been lying around Washington for 50 years. But it's interesting, I kind of think that in an odd way, former President Trump may have kind of sealed this by announcing so early. I think a big reason why Joe Biden is insisting that he wants to run again is because he thinks that President Trump would be his opponent. But the other thing that I think is kind of interesting to think about, it's a little bit like frogs boiling in water. If you actually go back and look 2 years ago at Joe Biden, and he was kind of old and doddering then, and then you look at him today. Yeah. It is a pretty stark difference. It's been gradual for us because we've seen him every day, but he is starkly more aged and slow and confused. And when I do think that could end up being a real problem for him.
I think so too. But I want to move on to this. Take a look at this op-ed in the Washington Post. It says, quote, "Who's toughest on China looms as a 2024 Republican campaign theme." They say, quote, "The Republican candidates for the 2024 presidential nod and the eventual nominee are likely to spend a lot of time claiming to be the toughest on China." Do you think that is a top issue for 2024, Charlie?
Oh, I think it is, and I think that actually among voters has been a top issue for decades, and both parties ignored it, much like both parties sort of have ignored illegal immigration. But China has been a big issue with regular, normal American voters who lost their jobs to factories moving overseas, to China stealing our ability to by stealing, designs and things like that, hurting our USA manufacturing base. So I do think that this is it will be a top issue for Republican voters. It goes across the board, though, and I also think that it's very smart, and it shows the strength of the Republican Party that they realize that this is a very important issue, and no part of this is more important than going after China on the origins of COVID. What China allowed to happen, and then what they actively did to cover up what happened, and probably led to the deaths of millions and millions of more people around the world because they refused to acknowledge that they had this problem, or that something had gotten out of hand in their own lab. I think it's a very, very good issue, and it's an issue that's going to, not good, but it's an important issue that's going to stick around, and Republicans are the only ones who seem to really realize it.
Yeah, and certainly, Donald Trump, that was a big mantra of his in 2016. Charlie Hurt, we're already out of time, but great stuff as always. Thank you for being here.
Great to see you.